Could you just quickly introduce yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Cecil Konijnendijk and I'm a professor of Green Space Management at the University of Copenhagen, Denmark.
Thank you. And you are a member of Emonfur Scientific Board. And up to you, which are the more interesting and innovative aspects of Emonfur project?
I think where Emonfur really makes a difference is that it talks about an important topic, urban forestry, but not just in a more strategic level, talking about the importance of urban forestry. We're trying really to improve management by providing guidelines and handbooks for management and monitoring in urban forestry.
And as regards innovation, which are the most important or urgent innovation that should be introduced in planning and management of urban forests?
Yes, I think one is to have manuals, to have really handbooks for managers, not only in the project countries, Italy and Slovenia, but also to be used in other countries in Europe. I think also the combination of management, monitoring, as well as ecosystem services is a very good approach and a very good frame for the development of urban forestry. So I think these are very clear innovations, and of course then using some specific examples like Parco Nord in Milan that will really bring the field forward, I feel.
And innovation, but also the past. Our history and cultural background of the city is important to understand the planning and the managing urban forests.
I would say absolutely, they're crucial to understand. So you cannot understand urban forestry if you don't know the context you're working in, the cultural issues, the history of a place, the social issues, how people in the local place relate to the urban forest. So I think it's crucial before you do anything to understand your local situation and your local context.
And how can you use it?
To use it is, for example, to see are there some historical connections between people in forest or people in nature that you can actually develop. For example, in children's education or getting people more interested in new urban forest, you can build on those old narratives and traditional stories and links, while also developing new links. For example, new populations, ethnic populations that come to Italy or Slovenia or other countries, they also have their stories and relations to the forest, so you can bring those stories in as well.
Right, and we've got some examples to tell us about.
I think here in
Europe for strong links between.
Exactly. Well, in the Nordic countries where I come from, there are very clear, strong links, and people want, when they go to the forest, they want to go to a real forest. So it needs to be a bit wild, and there don't need to be too many facilities, and so if people go to a park, they get a bit disappointed because they want to. A park is a completely different experience. While I think that, for example, here in Milano, people may have different ideas about forests, and they may want to have a place that's more varied, more diverse. Partly forest, partly open space, places for a lot of activities where they can bring their children, etc. And then we also know that people of different ethnic backgrounds, they might want to come with bigger families, they may want to have a nice day out rather than going for a walk in the forest. So I think it's important to use those linkages and understandings.
Right. And planning and design urban forest is a complex process. Which are the starting points, the initial elements you have to consider to project
Yes.
an urban forest or a new
I think
infrastructure?
I would say three main elements. One is the resource. So what do you have in terms of green spaces? What is the potential to develop? And there you would include all the elements of green infrastructure. So the forest, the parks, the green roofs, everything should be considered. Private green as well as public green. The second component is society, the users, the residents. How are they using the green space? What kind of functions do they want? And the third is the kind of the context of the city as such, policy, the cultural conditions, etc. So resource, demand, as well as the context. I think these three have to be considered for developing design, planning, policy.
And do you have any significant example of done processes and good practices, and why, which is the key elements we can catch?
Yes, I think UK, United Kingdom has had some very good examples of developing city forests, community forests, by really engaging with the local community and trying to understand the context they're working in, using trees as a mechanism to improve. Using trees as a mechanism,
okay.
Really, so not just focusing on tree planting or forestry, but saying, well, it's a tool to achieve a better society, more attractive place to live. Cities like New York have also been extremely successful in bringing trees into the city to improve it and brand the city as a green, attractive place to live and work and be creative as well.
Right. Which connection between governments and society and generally stakeholders' involvement in the urban forest policy?
Yeah, I think it's extremely crucial not only to think about, as we do in Emonfur, to talk about management, but also to think about the politicians and how we can make them understand that urban forests actually make an important contribution to local society. As well as on the other end to involve local residents, so to involve them in management, maybe involve them in decision making, so that we're not just as experts carrying out the work according to our expertise, but try also to link up with our customers, our consumers.
And do you have good experience of involvement in management?
There's some, not so many, but there's a few good examples of how local residents have been involved. Copenhagen, the city where I work, has been developing a volunteering strategy for its parks, where local residents can actually be engaged in some management activities, and people seem to like it. They feel ownership, they feel responsibility. Although it's a new thing, it's still not so common. But I think it's a way forward to get more volunteers. As I understand, also Parco Noord has been very successful in getting so eco-volunteers to help in the work. Yeah.
Volunteers.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other team is the economic one. How is it possible to face the economic sustainability
It's,
of urban forests?
it's a crucial aspect, of course, in a time of crisis, as we have in Italy, we have in Denmark, in many countries. So we have to think economically. And I think it's important to focus on, first of all, the benefits, so the ecosystem services that urban forests produce. So many things can actually be produced by urban forest and delivered, and we should quantify those benefits better. On the other hand, we have to think about the costs and make clear what the costs are, and that actually it's a very cost-efficient operation to have an urban forest. You can produce many things for low costs. And where we can, of course, to cut our costs and make it efficient. For example, by involving volunteers and thinking innovatively about our management and planning.
Right. And what about the relationship with private sector and private
Absolutely.
sector funds and agriculture as well?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of new partnerships that we can create. Traditionally, forestry and agriculture have been very close collaborators in many parts of Europe. So I think we should think more about that, community gardening, community agriculture, combined with urban forestry, as well as the private sector. So having more company involvement in aspects of urban forestry, sponsoring. And again, there we have some very interesting models from North America and the United Kingdom about public-private partnerships in developing and managing urban forests and urban parks.
And just last question. Emonfur project aims to establish a monitoring network in Lombardy and Slovenia. And do you think it would contribute to improve sustainable policies and to better deal the challenges?
Yes, I think so. I think, of course, the key element is knowledge. So we need to know what's going on. So through Emonfur project, we will know more about our urban forest. We will know more about the opportunities, the challenges, the way we can develop our resources, and that will only make our policies and our developments more sustainable. So yes, I think it's an important knowledge generation, internationally orientated, and also with important lessons for all of Europe.
And which elements do you think they should definitely be in our handbooks or manual or final products?
Yes, I think a combination of, let's say, the more traditional forest inventory aspects about forest health and species and so, in combination with some of the more specific aspects of urban forestry, more focus on recreational infrastructure, maybe even people's preferences, to think people's preferences. So what do the local users use? How do they use the forests and so. So anything we can add, I think, to more traditional forest inventory that focuses more on the social issues, cultural issues, will be very beneficial.
Okay. Thank you
All right.
very much.
Thank you. You're welcome.